Hey everyone, it's Adriel the Hunting Gear Guy. I want to show you guys this Pardus SL semi-automatic gas-operated shotgun. This is from Turkey. I'm just going to do a real quick safety check on it. My chamber is empty and I can see that I have nothing in my magazine. So why don't we take a closer look at this shotgun. So just starting at the rear here, we've got a plastic stock here. It is a little bit, I don't know if you can hear that, but hollow sounding. Now if you like to, you could fill that with that great stuff or whatever, but that you need to get in here to get to that bolt anyway. So I don't know if you can live with that, that's fine. The rear pad here is ventilated and it's got a little bit of a give to it. Not a whole heck of a lot, but a little bit. Up on the action here, there's a couple of things to take note of. We have a bolt release button here, like pretty much every other shotgun out there. We have our charging handle, cross bolt safety at the rear, and this is a little bit different, at least for me. There's a shell drop button right here, and that will also lock the bolt open. So if there's no shells in, we can press that, and that'll allow us to lock the bolt open. Now that the bolt's open, now that we can throw a shell in, I'm just going to grab a dummy here just to show you what this is all about. As it confirmed, yeah, it's filled with rubber, hot glue. So there's our dummy in there, and when we press this button here, it loads it and pops it into the chamber. Now we're allowed to throw some shells in through the bottom. You can see it's a little bit recessed, the loading gate or lifter, or whatever you want to call it. And it's kind of handy because it makes it very easy to put the shell in the right place because it is recessed. So there's almost really not much of a need to hog out the loading gate here and make some room. So you just kind of throw them right in there. Now this fork here does tend to catch your finger just a little bit, but just with the spacing, I found it caught it sometimes, but it wasn't as bad as, oh, I don't know, some of the other shotguns out there that I've tried. Like the Versamax is actually particularly bad for catching fingers on the loading gate. Up towards the front here, we've just got, again, just a real standard polymer forend. We've got some vents in here for the gas to escape. I did some slow-mo footage, which I'll roll in here, that shows that there's not really that much gas that comes out of here. And as you can see here, no gas coming out of those slots on the forend. We've got our magazine cap. This is also where the swing swivel will go. I don't have them installed right now. I don't know if you can see that here, but this vent rib is fairly low. It's not a super high one like on some shotguns. And towards the muzzle here, we've got this orange plastic. This is where you usually see a fiberglass sight, and on here it's kind of like this orange plastic. And you can see that the barrel is fitted for interchangeable chokes, so we can change them out in this shotgun. Now in terms of other accessories that this shotgun comes with, it does come with a plug that you can use if you want to take it hunting. It also comes with this little choke kit. This is very standard on these Turkish shotguns that, at least that I've been reviewing recently here. And we've got a couple of different chokes with it. Now in the shotgun as supplied is a modified. We also have, let's see, that's 4 stripes, that's improved cylinder, and here's one that's full. We have our choke wrench, and then we have our sling swivels here as well. Now just a real quick aside, these chokes use the Beretta mobile choke system, so there's lots of them out there. This is what's typical of the Turkish shotguns as well, so lots of choice out there for chokes. Now we start the takedown process by removing the magazine tube cap. It's got a little detent in there which kind of holds it for the first few. This is also where your plug will go in, so this is where it'll be to start with. That's if you need to go hunting and you need to limit it to 2 shells. Next up, you can pull off your forend. There's actually one complaint of mine about this shotgun. The forend plastic fit here isn't the best, but let's go ahead and pull it off. Now you can kind of see the gas system there. There's our gas piston. That's going to operate against this action sleeve here. And that in turn is going to work against this action rod that just goes down the left side of the action, so it's not dual rod or anything like that. Next up, we'll need to lock the bolt to the rear, so I'll press that shell release, lock the bolt back, and I can remove the barrel. Here's our piston that pops out. Let's throw that to the side for now. Next thing for our shotgun is that we'll need to pull this charging handle out. Now, yours may be quite stiff and hard to pull out. Mine was. Oh man. Now, I don't want to show you what I did to get this thing out because I'd be embarrassed, but suffice to say they are very stiff to get out. And I've actually filed mine a little bit smoother so that it fits in there without that much effort, but as you can see, it's still quite a bit. Next up, let's hit our bolt release button, and I'm just kind of holding right here to keep it static as I pull it. This may or may not come out on you. If it doesn't, you may need to pull your trigger group out. It came out fine this time. And there's our action rod and our bolt and carrier, and they just come off just like that. Next, let's pull our trigger group out. To pull your trigger group out, you'll have to get that pin out there, just right here. I'm just gonna throw a dummy under there real quick. Grab a brass, non-marring punch. And then over to my steel one. I'm just gonna hold it up now. Some of these are going to be looser than others. Mine is quite tight. I don't mind that. There's the pin. And now the trigger group, if you grasp it, make sure it's on safety. Mine is on safety. Just grasp it and kind of pull it up towards the front and then out. And it should come right out. Now we have this shotgun fully disassembled. You normally wouldn't take off the stock. Now, one thing that I thought was interesting was just this magazine cap. It doesn't actually come out. Most of the time they use like a circlip of some kind to apply pressure from the outside. And I don't know if you can see that, but it's actually chamfered in. So it's like the metal at the end here is like bent in to hold this fully captive. So it ain't coming out. If you want to put an extension tube on this thing, you're going to have to remove that metal there to get it to let you in there. But for hunters or anyone who wants to use this with no maintenance, real handy. All right, now that I've got you a lot closer, I can kind of show you some of the workings of these bolt and carrier. So here's our carrier and here's our bolt. And when they're on top of each other there, the carrier will actually activate that lug that's on the top of the bolt. So you can see there that it'll pop it up when it's forward and locked, and that'll lock against a cutout that's in the barrel. Now here's that cutout that it works against. It just kind of butts against that, so you can imagine that thing working against this cutout here. Now I commented in my review that I didn't think that this gas system would be that clean. That's primarily because of what it does. It's very simple. It uses this, here's our ring here, and it's rounded on the corners. So it won't actually scrape the things that it's working against. It'll just kind of drive that carbon in there. This will work on the magazine tube and move about, and it'll actually go like right out of there. And then when you slam the bolt in, it just kind of like goes in there, right? It doesn't, on some shotguns, it'll stay captured, so it doesn't move that far because it doesn't need to. On this one, it just stays on the magazine tube, and it could be this far, and then get slammed in. Now, I mean, it'll be lined up, but it could be, you know, moving back and forth that much on there. So you can see here that there's still some carbon left over just from shooting a couple rounds. And I did clean this thing pretty thoroughly, but it, you know, it's sticking on there pretty hard. You need to use like a hard surface to get it off of there. So you will get, this is where your carbon will end up, is right here, and on the magazine tube where it's corresponding right here. You won't see anything past here because there's actually a seal on the inside of here, so you won't see anything past, but you will see quite a bit of carbon on your magazine tube right about here. Well, if you can see there, but here's our recoil spring right here. That's what the tail of that carrier is acting against. And you can see here, there's a little bit of damage here, and I don't know how far you can see in there, but there's quite a bit kind of towards the back. And that's where that bolt is heading towards the back. This is an aluminum receiver here, and any machining imperfections between this receiver and the bolt are going to get mashed out pretty quick. So if you're shooting 3-inch magnums out of this thing, you will notice that there's going to be some aluminum shavings piled up at the rear here from the bolt hitting the back here and basically making it match the bolt. Alright, to reassemble, it's the easiest if you have the trigger group out because it might bind as you're trying to put everything together. But grab your bolt with carrier and your action tube there. Slide it on with the extension facing to the left. You're looking to get the action bar kind of into the slot right there. And once you get it to the back, you need to get this tail here into the middle of that socket. Now it's best done with the gun vertical so that you can get it in there. And then you can see there, it's going in the right spot. Now there's nothing holding this thing on, so I'm going to want to do that pretty quick. And the quickest way is to throw your handle on there. There we go. That's on all the way. Yeah. And now it can't get out. Next up, I'll throw my trigger group in there. And the trigger group kind of grabs at the rear and then rotates in. If you have problems rotating in, you may want to push this bolt release button, which will also move that shell latch out of the way. Once you've got it lined up, you can go ahead and grab that pin. And throw it in there. I'm just going to use a soft face mallet to pop mine in. Not hitting it hard, I'm just tapping it in there. And now it's flush on both sides. And I can test the function by running a couple times and it feels good. Now next up I'm going to put on my barrel and piston, but to do that I'm going to need to lock my barrel to the bolt to the back. So I'll just hit this little button here that's on the left hand side of the receiver, lock it to the rear, and very carefully put on my barrel and piston. There we go. It feels like they're on. Now that those are on, I can go ahead and throw on my forend. And you may find that you need to just wiggle it a little bit to get it to fit into this metal piece here. Mine doesn't fit the best, but this is a cheap shotgun, so that's one of the spots where it won't fit that great. Now, if you're going to go hunting, this is the time where you throw your plug in. I'm not going to hunt with this thing, so I'm just going to go ahead and throw my magazine cap on. And I am fully reassembled, and I can test it out, running it a couple times, and it seems to be working okay. Now, if you're wondering what the capacity is on this shotgun, it'll fit, of course, one in the chamber, and then the tube. These are 2 3/4 inch dummies. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So that's 5 shells, and it's, I would say, like 5.2, so it's got a little bit of room in there. Now, if you use 3-inch shells, it'll fit 4 of them in the tube and 1 in the chamber. And of course, if you use the plug, you'll fit 2 2 3/4 or 2 3-inch shells in the magazine tube. Now let me talk a little bit about some of the cons or disadvantages of this shotgun. One, you know, it's from Turkey, so you're not going to get like domestic parts for it or anything like that. In fact, most of your parts availability is going to be a little bit difficult. Two, the fit and finish on it is hit and miss. You know, I really liked the finish on this receiver. It looked really nice and consistent. It's not hard wearing because this is aluminum and it's got a simple anodizing job on it, but it was consistent. But things like right here, oh, I don't know if you guys can see that. There's a big proud line here between the stock and the receiver. It's not an even match, not even close. And things like the charging handle is so hard to remove. That's good because it doesn't just fly out when you're shooting it unless you're like me and you don't insert it all the way. But let's look past those and let's look to this thing as a 50% off shotgun that you can get right now in Canada. And it's a really good deal. Let's put it that way, because for $250 you can't get a shotgun, never mind a semi-automatic shotgun. A semi-automatic shotgun that was dead nuts reliable for me. It's got, because there's no spring here underneath the forend, it's very slim, you can see there. And because there's no spring there, it is actually really light in the forend. There's not really much going on there. The rib is a little bit lower, so if you don't really like those like high rib shotguns, this is for you. It's a little bit lighter than some of the other shotguns out there. It's 7 pounds, just a hair over. I think I measured. Oh, I can't remember what I measured on the fish scale, but it'll be in my text review on my website. But light and swingable, anyways. Even though it has a 28-inch barrel, so if you're looking to bust some clays or something like that, and you want a really cheap shotgun, well, this could be an option, right? Now, for you 3-gunners out there, there's a couple things that are great about this shotgun, and a couple things that aren't so great. One of the greatest thing, it's cheap. It's so cheap, $267 or $269, whatever. This you'll have no problems throwing into a barrel, hitting it against barriers, and doing all of the silly things that we do in 3-gun, right? Some of the disadvantages to it would be that you're only going to ever get 6 in this tube, and that's with a +1. So, and that's just because it has a 3-inch chamber, right? In Canada here, if we have a 3.5-inch chamber, you can get 7 in the tube. With a 3-inch chamber, you're probably only going to get 6. So you will have to add a +1. And if you add a +1 to this thing, that magazine, you're going to have to do something about it to remove that crimp on the end. So there's going to be a little bit of custom modifications that you'll have to do there. And you should do it, because to get 6 in here, if you're loading 2s or quad loads, and you're going to throw those into the chute here, you need an even number. Well, an even number is nice, right? So if you can get 6 in here, perfect. Then you can do your quad load and then a load 2, and you're fully bombed up, kind of a thing. The other disadvantage is that I think you can ghost load it, but boy, is it ever a pain in the butt. Just because of what the loading gate does when it's in rest, it kind of rests high. Now you can fool it to load down here, and then pull one up, and as you pull it up, kind of push this guy down. But it's so fiddly. It's so fiddly that I don't even know whether it's worth it or not. And because it's so fiddly, I didn't even test it, because I didn't want to mess around that much. But other than that, I mean, the reliability I got out of this thing with target loads was really good. I couldn't get it to jam doing just like real pushing on it and pulling the trigger really fast. And when I tested the cycle times, it was right around the 0.1, 0.12 seconds to cycle the action. I'll roll in some footage right here of me shooting this thing as fast as I can. Cycle time appeared to be right around 0.1 of a second, or 1/10 or 10 hundredths or whatever. So really quick, and I couldn't overrun this shotgun with my trigger finger. Now, is this shotgun for you? You know, maybe. Okay, so some of the guys out there really like better firearms. They want the stuff that's got more features, better fit and finish, you know, not stuff like these proud edges here and here, and would like something that has maybe a warranty or some kind of warranty that they can rely on. And I think for those guys, this isn't the right shotgun, not even close. Even for the guys who want to like compete in 3-gun and do really, really well, this again isn't the shotgun. For the duck hunters out there, you might want something in camo or something in a 3.5 inch. 3 inch is good. You know, when I ran 3 inches in this, it really beat up the aluminum at the back of the receiver here. Now maybe that's like a one-time thing that kind of batters the edges that were kind of out of spec into spec by having this steel bolt batter the aluminum there. It wasn't super confidence inspiring, and this thing really shoots 3-inch shells really, really far, which kind of tells me that the gas system doesn't really regulate. It just kind of, it is the gas system. It'll work with 2 3/4. With 3-inch, it comes back a little bit quick. Let me roll in some footage here. Watch how fast the 2 3/4 comes out. It's kind of lazy. It's kind of flipping by there. Now watch the 3-inch. The 3-inch is going to really rip out of there. And it goes like 25 feet, no problem at all. So I think this gas system is a little bit too hot for 3-inch. So I guess that leaves me to, like, who would use this shotgun? Well, if you don't have a shotgun yet and you're looking at getting one and you don't mind mucking around with a couple of little fit and finish things, yeah, definitely, because this thing's $250, and for new shooters out there who don't have a lot of money, this is like a super awesome deal. You can't get a shotgun for $250, never mind a semi-auto. So yeah, I mean, the new shooters out there, this is definitely the key. For those of you who have a shotgun, but it might be like a nice hunting shotgun that you don't want to beat up and you want to get into competition shooting, yeah, you know, something like this, you can beat it up. And if you find out you like that sport, you can spend the more money on that M2 Benelli shotgun for sporting purposes. So again, this is I would say that this is a pretty screaming deal for $269, and I'm gonna buy 2. Thanks for watching. Next up, we'll need to lock the bolt to the rear. So I'm gonna push that shell. Oh yeah. Oh, double feed, cool.